Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monotui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our GBA Season 7 Week 8 team builder for Tom, coach of the San Jose Sharpedos. If you've not done so already, please check out his YouTube link in the description below. He was actually the very first person we ever ended up playing in the GBA when we inherited our team last season, so a little bit of nostalgia there. However, much like we did in that game, we are looking to beat him, and hopefully I've built a team that will allow us to do so. However, before we get into our team, let us just hop into Tom's roster and see what he could potentially bring. Tom's roster consists of Celesteela, Thundurus Therian, Nidoqueen, Vaporeon, Porygon 2, Azelf, Hitmonlee, Zygarde Doggo, Darmanitan, Shiftry, and Gardevoir. So very offensive team there. Very bulky offensive team as well. Things like Celesteela and Nidoqueen, even Porygon 2, and even Gardevoir in some instances can take hits very well and then fire back very powerful attacks. He's got some fast offenses in there as well. Azelf and Zygarde are both very fast, hit things very hard. Thundy T is always a problem. Can be setup, can be Scarf, can be Specs, whatever. Always an issue. Has coverage to hit both of my ground types in HP Ice for my Zygarde as well as Grass Knot for my Rhydon. So very good team he's got going on there. However, I believe I've built a team of 6 that will be able to take on whatever team of 6 he decides to bring. So starting off, we're going to lead with our Miltank, or we're going to be first covering our Miltank. As you can see, it's a relatively standard Miltank. Body Slam, Milk Drink, Toxic, Stealth Rock, Leftovers, and Thick Fat ability. Pretty much fully physically defensive. This is pretty much just, well, for one, it's my best switch into Darmanitan. I could bring Zygarde as a Darm switch, but Zygarde has more offensive potential, so I wanted to bring this as the Darm switch in. Kind of sucks that I have to run Thick Fat just because Sap Sipper would be really nice for things like Leech Seed on Celesteela, as well as possibly Shiftry if he decides to bring it, though Shiftry isn't the biggest problem in the world, it would still be nice. Not too much else to go into with this Miltank, honestly. Like, it's a very standard Miltank. It can kind of deal with the Celesteela. Like, Celesteela doesn't really 2-hit out with anything. So I can maybe set up rocks versus it, maybe get a Body Slam para, which if he is like an autotomized Celesteela, that's going to be very nice for me. Even if he's not autotomized, para hacks is always something that's very powerful and can influence games. If he's not Life Orb Nidoqueen, I should be able to take 2 of whatever he wants to go for, and I might be able to outspeed it, which is very nice. I don't really touch the Vaporeon on the Porygon 2, that is why I have Toxic on there to possibly whittle them down, and I can set up Stealth Rock versus either of those. Can take any one hit from the Azelf bar, maybe like a Spec Psychic, and even then I think I have a good chance to live that. I don't live anything from the Hitmonlee unless it's an unboosted close combat, I believe, but if it's like a Reckless High Jump Kick, there's absolutely no way I'm going to live that. Zygarde I can also switch into, which is very nice. Should be able to take 2 of anything, which is going to be very good. And if he is like locked into Outrage and he is going to be able to 2-KO me, I can go out into something like my Bisharp or my Buzzwole afterwards to possibly revenge it, or my Jirachi, for example. Like, Outrage is not super spammable versus my team, which is very nice. Yeah, this is our Miltank. There's not too much else to go into with this thing. It's bulky, it's going to be able to take hits from physical attackers very nicely, and its biggest job is to get up rocks. If it can Toxic things like the P2 as well as the Vaporeon, that's going to be very useful for me as well. But biggest job this thing has, get up rocks. If he decides to bring Darm, switch into that thing. If he has the Zygarde, switch into that thing. And yeah, that's our Miltank. Now we are going to move on to our Bisharp. And as you can see here, we have kind of an interesting set. We have Black Glasses and then 3 Dark moves followed by Swords Dance. Now, I could be running something like Iron Head to hit things neutrally, as well as maybe X-Scissor to hit the Shiftry, but his Dark Resists are not the best in the world. Like, Hitmonlee's not going to want to switch into the knockoff ever. Sucker Punch is also just really good for his, like, and Shiftry is really frail, and it's not going to switch into this thing ever if he decides to bring it even. So, like, there wasn't too much of a reason to not just run 3 Dark moves, because then I don't have to run a Life Orb for the extra power, I can just run Black Glasses, and we can afford to run SD on this thing, which is going to be very nice, because this actually has a lot of potential to sweep his team. I can set up a Swords Dance, and then hit the Celesteela very hard with Knockoff. I can hit the, I can knock out the Thundy T with a +2 Sucker Punch. I can hit the Nidoqueen on switch in with Knockoff. Like, nothing wants to switch in Knockoff from Bisharp. It's going to do a lot of damage to whatever wants to come in. And even if it's not going to be a 2-KO, I'm getting rid of an item, which is really nice. Like, if he's physically defensive Celesteela, I'll get rid of that thing's Leftovers, I'll get rid of that thing's Rocky Helmet. He doesn't have recovery outside of Leech Seed, so I'll be able to whittle that thing down, which is really nice. Nidoqueen, even if it's Fizz Def Nidoqueen, I'll get rid of its Black Sludge. If I have Hazards up, it'll be taking permanent damage, which is really nice. Same thing with Vaporeon, same thing with P2. Obviously, P2 doesn't want to lose its Eviolite. I can Sucker Punch the Azelf before it's able to hit me, which is really nice. If he is like a Scarfed Hitmonlee without Mach Punch, I can Sucker Punch that thing and do a lot of damage to it because its physical defense is paper. I will be able to knock out Zygarde with a +2 Sucker Punch, which is really nice, and I'm pretty sure goes straight down to knock off. Same thing with Darm, can knock that thing out with a +2 Sucker Punch. And then Shiftry shouldn't really be able to touch me unless he's running something along the lines of Brick Break, but like, I'm not expecting Shiftry to be brought, although he definitely could. It's definitely an option. It's not the biggest threat versus my team. I have other ways to deal with it, which is very nice. And then there's the Gardevoir, which I can knock out with +2 Sucker Punch anyway. We also have Pursuit on there just because Pursuit is an excellent move just in general. If he is switching out with his, like if I know he's locked into something with his Zelf, I can go for Pursuit and knock that thing out as it comes in. If he's locked into something with his Thundurus, for example, like maybe he's locked into Psychic or a Hidden Power Ice, I can go for a Pursuit and hurt that thing quite a bit. And just, it's also a little bit more situational. Like if I just see, if I expect to switch out from whatever he wants to go, if I expect something on his team to want to switch out, maybe like a Darm locked in a Rock Slide, I can go for the Pursuit on that, get a lot of damage. It's more of a situational thing, but I really don't feel like I need Iron Head or X-Scissor in this game at all, so I decided to go with Pursuit. Like I said, it's just a great move in general, and depending on the situation, it could come into a lot of handy. So that's going to be our Bisharp. Three dark moves, Swords Dance, Black Glasses, really cool. This is like the coolest Bisharp you'll ever see. Super dark, super edgy, got sunglasses, yeah. So, with that being said, we are now going to move on to our Greninja here, and as you can see, we are bringing a Choice Specs Greninja. We've brought it before, and it's put in a lot of work, and I'm hoping it can do the same thing here. Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, Water Shuriken, U-Turn, relatively standard set there, but he does not have great switch-ins to this thing, bar the Porygon 2 as well as the Vaporeon. So, I can U-turn out versus those things if I expect them to want to come in, and then bar that, like, nothing on his team wants to take a Specs Hydro Pump or a Dark Pulse. Like, Celesteela does not want to switch in on a Hydro Pump, neither does Thundechi, Nidoqueen goes down, Zelf does not want to take it, Hitmonlee doesn't want to take it, Zygarde does not want to take it, Darm doesn't want to take it, Shiftry, even though it resists, doesn't want to take it, and if I need to kill that thing, I can go for U-turn, which is kind of nice. And then Gardevoir doesn't really want to switch in on a Specs Hydro Pump either, even if he's some sort of bulky set. So not too much else to go into with this Greninja. It puts in a lot of work versus Tom. Just being able to possibly break through his team, force him to sack a couple things, maybe get very crucial chip damage off onto things. Like even if he hard switches Vaporeon into this thing, and I do like 30 to 40% with the Specs Dark Pulse, I'll then be able to switch out as I know he's going to go for a Wish, and I will be able to go out into something else to possibly deal with it. And the thing I have to deal with it, as well as a few other things on his team, is actually going to be a very big threat to his team. We'll get into that in a little bit. But that's our Greninja. Choice Specs Greninja, kind of meant to just break through his team and basically have no switch-in other than the two that I mentioned, possibly gain momentum if those switch-ins want to come in. But similarly, with a similar job to Greninja, we have a Choice Banded Buzzwole. And that is because nothing on his team wants to take a Choice Banded Superpower, bar like a fully physically defensive Nidoqueen. Like, nothing wants to take a Superpower. Thundechi doesn't switch into Superpower happily, it's going to take so much damage. Celesteela doesn't switch into Banded Superpower, Vaporeon doesn't. P2, I'm pretty sure, dies. Azelf doesn't take a landed superpower. Like, his resists to fighting aren't good resists. The only thing he can kind of happily switch into this is, like, a physically defensive Gardevoir. And even then, that's really risky, because if I go for Leech Life, it's getting 2 KO'd. If I go for Poison Jab, it's getting O-Code. So, that's going to be very difficult for him in order to do that. We have a lot of speed on there. That speed is basically just for a max speed Celesteela. I should be able to outspeed the Nidoqueen unless he's running Timid with a lot of speed on it. It's going to suck if he does randomly bring Timid, but other than that, I should be fine. And if I am able to outspeed it, I'll be able to smack that thing with a Banded Earthquake or Ice Punch. But the move that I'm going to be clicking the most with this thing is going to be Superpower. Unless I know 100% he's going to be switching into something like his Gardevoir or something like his Nidoqueen, I can predict. But other than that, I'm mostly just going to be clicking Superpower and basically nuking whatever wants to come in. What's also nice about his team is this actually outspeeds a good majority of it. Like, it outspeeds the Celesteela, it should be able to outspeed the Nidoqueen, it outspeeds the Vaporeon, outspeeds the P2. I can take anything from the Hitmonlee. This is my best switch into the Hitmonlee. High Jump Kick does absolutely nothing to me. I can switch into the Zygarde easily. That's not going to do anything to me. Unless Shiftry is running a flying move, I can take it on very well. So it just, from a lot of the things from his team, it'll take hits from and then kill it, or I'll just outspeed them and be able to knock them out, or force him to sack something else. So, Banded Buzzwole, super big threat versus his team. Really looking forward to using this. I've been looking to use Banded Buzzwole because it's one of my favorite sets just because of the pure damage output, and I haven't seen the right matchup until now, so that's going to be really cool to use. But for the next Pokemon on our team, we are going to go over our Zygarde. Now, Thundy T is a problem to my team. We kind of saw how well Chimpact used Thundy I, and Thundy T is about just as threatening, and I would like to not lose to a Thundy again. So we're going with the Zygarde. It's Aura Break this time, I promise. Gonna make sure. 1000 Arrows, Extreme Speed, Dragon Dance, and Toxic. 1000 Arrows, E-Speed, pretty much the only 2 attacks I need for him. His 1000 Arrows resist consists of Shiftry, so that's not going to be the biggest deal in the world. And then E-Speed is also there in order to hit things that are faster than me, like possibly like an Azelf, or even like a Mach Punching Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee I haven't talked about too much. Other than Buzzwole, I don't really have too much for it defensively. Like, it kills Miltank, it kills Bisharp, kills Greninja, it can do a ton of damage to Jirachi, and it does a lot of damage to Zygarde. But, like, if I lose Buzzwole, and maybe let's pretend he's like a, like the Endure reversal set with a Lychee Berry, I can at least go out into my Zygarde afterwards and click E-Speed and be able to knock that thing out and prevent him from sweeping, which is going to be really nice. We also have the Yachi Berry on there, just because something like Thunderous, like I said, big problem to my team, so I want to be able to take an HP Ice as well as I can and hit that thing with 1000 Arrows. After Rocks, 1000 Arrows plus Extreme Speed is guaranteed to knock it out, which is really nice. This Zygarde also takes on the Nidoqueen very well, which is very nice. I am Yachi Berry again, so if I need to take an Ice Beam from that, I can. I deal with the Celesteela very well. Obviously, I knock it down, and then I force it to take a lot of damage with the next 1000 Arrows. I don't really beat the P2, because I don't have Recovery, and if it has Ice Beam, it'll be able to beat me even though I am Yachi Berry, so I can Toxic things like the P2, as well as the Vaporeon on switching, which is going to be very nice. I can E-Speed things that are possibly faster than me, like his own Zygarde, yeah, his Hydouge, his Gardevoir. If he's like a Scarf Gardevoir, I can hit that thing with an Extreme Speed. The Darm I Speed Tie with, but I can set up on the Darm, which is nice. You can kind of see how this thing puts in a lot of work versus this team. It outspeeds it a lot, outspeeds the Hitmonlee, outspeeds the Nidoqueen, the Celesteela, the Vaporeon, the P2, and then after a Dragon Dance, I'll be able to outspeed pretty much everything on his team other than like a random Scarf Zygarde. I'll Speed Tie with Scarf Darm, and once again, that thing is just complete setup fodder for me. Zygarde puts in a lot of work this game. I may need to use it a little bit more defensively than I want to, just because I need to switch into the Thundy T, but if I'm able to overcome that, then I think we'll be okay, just because Zygarde is super good versus this team, and I really look forward to using it. Obviously, have to whittle the P2 and the Vaporeon down, but if I can do that, I can set up a Dragon Dance and possibly sweep through the rest of this team. So that's going to be our Zygarde. Next up, we have the last member of our team, and I originally had a Salazzle here. It was Sub-Toxic Disable Flamethrower Salazzle, just because Flamethrower hits like everything on his team, and then I just poison everything else, and you know, like I disable, and that's super annoying. But I actually saw how much work that this thing could possibly put in, and I was really looking forward to it. So we're running a Sub, Calm Mind, Offensive, Jirachi, Psychic, T-Bolt, Calm Mind, and Sub. As you can see here, we're running a lot of speed on this. This is just enough speed to outspeed something like Darmanitan. If he is Jolly but running not Choice Scarf, like if he's Banded, I'll be able to outspeed this, or I'll be able to outspeed that. Psychic T-Bolt is pretty much the only coverage that I necessarily need versus his team. Obviously, he does have things like the Gardevoir, but Gardevoir can't do too much to me, and it's more than likely that I'm going to threaten it out, and if I threaten it out, I can set up a couple Calm Minds and beat it 1v1 anyway. And then the Shiftry. I don't really do much to the Shiftry, but like I said, I have other ways of dealing with the Shiftry. I don't think Shiftry is the biggest threat versus my team, so I think I'm okay to run this set, and other than those two, this Jirachi completely destroys his team. Like, as you can see, the only thing that really kind of deals with it is like a physical Celesteela with Earthquake, and like it has to be either Assault Vest or fully specially defensive. If I get up to +4 special attack, I will be able to OHKO any variant of Celesteela, bar being like max SpDef AV, which is kind of weird. But like if he's fully SpDef, I can knock it out with +4 Thunderbolt, which is going to be very nice. If I get up to +1 special defense, Scald, Uninvested Scald from Vaporeon will not be able to break my sub. If I get up to +2 SpDef with Calm Minds, Porygon 2's Shadow Ball, its Uninvested Shadow Ball will not be able to break my sub. It can possibly deal with the Azelf, depending on what it is. If I get to +2 SpDef, Uninvested Flamethrower from Celesteela will not be able to break my sub, which is really nice. If I get to +3 SpDef, Thundy T can't break my sub with T-Bolt. You're kind of getting the point here. I'll be able to set up a sub and some Calm Minds versus a good number of his team. If he doesn't have Roar or Haze on his Vaporeon, that is complete setup fodder to me. Same thing with P2. If he doesn't switch out immediately of P2, I will be able to set up on that thing, which is very, very nice. Obviously, there are offensive checks to me. The Thundy T outspeeds me, so if I don't have any Calm Minds up and it's Jirachi versus Thundy T, it can hurt me quite a bit, especially because I don't have Recovery on this thing. The Zygarde obviously outspeeds me and just kills me with 1,000 arrows. The Darmanitan, if it's Scarf, just comes in, clicks Flare Blitz, and kills me. So he's definitely got his checks to this thing, but not very good defensive checks. They're all offensive checks. So hopefully this set will be able to just beat his team, because it is quite a big threat versus this team. But like I said, things like the Darm, things like the Zygarde can definitely come in and just revenge kill me, so I have to preserve this smartly. But thankfully those two things are kind of stopped by the Miltank, so hopefully those two can work together. With that being said, that is going to be the team versus Tom, aka Tom. Don't know why I had to say that, but thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you're looking forward to the game. That will be going up on Sunday at 2 p.m. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then.